Hello, hello. This is Eunice coming live from Singapore. If you can hear me loud and clear, type loud and clear in the chat box. Right, I can hear myself on the phone, so I think the audio is working well and all that. Right, so my name is Eunice Tan. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and founder of JPS Consultancy Firm. We are a business consultancy firm, a boutique business consultancy firm where we help people to set up their companies, set up their businesses, and we help them to grow their businesses in one way or another, depending on what they need. Right? Sometimes we help them to, if they need to grow their business in terms of marketing, we help them in terms of marketing. If they need help in terms of backend, we help them with the backend. So we have been doing this for the past 10 years, and we have helped thousands of entrepreneurs to kickstart their businesses. And during this time of pandemic, today is 19th of August, 2020, and we are kind of in the midst of a pandemic for COVID-19, right? So many people have their jobs are affected, and they're thinking of starting their businesses. And in my experience of dealing with business owners, I realized that there are certain things that they have not got in place in the first place. And I have been talking to many business owners, and I realized that all these mistakes, all these failures, so as to speak, can be avoided. And many of them have been asking me to come up with something, a short lesson to teach them, right, how they can actually start their businesses. So here we are, a long overdue video on how you can kickstart your businesses. So if you are thinking of starting your business, you must watch this. If you have started your businesses already, right, you can still watch this and make sure these three questions that I want to cover today are the fundamentals. Make sure you cover them in your business so that you don't have to waste 5 years, 10 years of your time and energy and money, and then realize that you have been wrong from day one, right? So without further ado, we're going to start very soon. Just let me share my screen. Right. If you are a freelancer, solopreneurs, and all, and a one-man show, this is for you. Okay, you really must watch this. Right. So I like to start my session on time, and here we go. Right. So today, business is actually a very wide topic, and every business at different stage requires different solutions. So I always akin it to like bringing up a baby, right? A child, when it's at the baby stage, you have it's like when you first start, it's like a baby stage, and you have different kind of needs, you have different kind of problems, and so you require different kind of solutions. When you are a toddler, and you are a teenager, and when you're an adult, again you face different sets of problems, and you require different sets of solutions as well. So right now, this session is to focus on those who want to just starting or thinking of how to start a business. Right. I'm going to cover three most important questions to ask before you even start your business. Right. So let's share. First and foremost, right? Okay, let me see. Right, business, right? A lot of people, I want to debunk one myth first. In business, a lot of people come into business with the idea that they are there to make money only. But the truth of the matter is that when you start a business, the whole thing about starting a business is to solve a problem and then getting paid for it at the end of the process. Right? And the thing is that what kind of problems are you solving is the key word, right? It's the key thing. If you solve a big problem, you make big money. If you solve a small problem, you will make small money, right? So what problems are we talking about, right? So first and foremost, go one. First thing first, what problems are you solving? Right? So as I mentioned, right, the business is a lot of people think business is all about making money, but in truth, the business is about solving problems and getting paid for it, right? So if you think a lot of people, like for example, they are very good in cooking, right? And everybody thinks that their food is fantastic and all, and then and a lot of people think that they can start a F&B from there on, a restaurant and all that. Do you know that cooking well, yes, you must have cooked good food, right? But the thing is that only constitutes 20% of it, right? And we know, right, there are many eateries that are not serving very good food, but they're making millions of dollars, right? A lot of people think that it's about making marketing, but in truth, it's more than just marketing. They are solving a problem that good food cannot resolve. So you need to think about what is the problem or problems are you solving with the business idea that you have in mind, right? So with that, right, there are usually two groups, right? So two groups of problems, I call it, right? The first group, right, you must be helping people to get rid of pain, right? What do I mean? Right? So you must get rid of, there's always a problem or pain in terms of, this is the big group, big four, I call it, right? The pain of like no time, no money, like a lot of hassle and no knowledge, right? So let me explain a little bit more. Like no time. So in the past, right, before all this technology, internet comes along, many things take a long time to process, right? You submit the paperwork, and then whoever the organization takes like weeks and months to process. As you can see, technology has improved and saved us a lot of time. So business idea, right, should be if you have identified a problem, and the problem is that it's taking a long time, and you have a solution, then that's where you might have a business to start with, right? And next is no money. Now, a lot of people, okay, talking about money, right? So sometimes we always say, in Singapore, we always have this expression, money not enough, right? Okay, sometimes money not enough, sometimes it's money, there's too much time at the end of my money, right? So a lot before the month end, a lot of employees have already spent their money, and you have like 2 weeks to go before your next payday. It's a very common scenario like that's happening around the world as well. So many people, sometimes if you have a course, very common thing to do is a lot of educate trainers. They help people by teaching them how to start their business, help them to make sidelines. Not when with all this COVID and we have to work from home, a lot of things go online. A lot of trainers brought from this opportunity to teach people how to start an online business. That's only one of it, right? So you want to make extra money, you can also go for investments, or some trainers focus on how to invest properly and teach people how to invest in a safe manner in various forms and shapes and forms. I know many of the trainers in the industry, and they are all very good trainers, right? Right. So they are solving a problem of not enough money, right? So another big one is also hassle. That is where we come in as well. Our business consultancy, right from day one, right? I always tell my team members that we are not just here to do the technical stuff, do whatever that clients have tasked us to do, engage our services to do. But at the end of the day, we must solve the hassle. We must save the hassle for clients. We must make things easier for them. Right. So sometimes what you have, if you identify a problem in your industry, or you find that in your daily life, to get from you find that it's really troublesome to get from A to B, and you can think of a shorter way, a faster way to do it, right? Then maybe you might have a good business idea, right? But that's maybe only, we'll talk about it later on, right? Whether you can monetize it or not, right? And then the fourth one, the big one, is knowledge. Some people, right? So for some people, they have no knowledge. So for example, they want to make more money, but they have no knowledge, right? So this is where there is a problem, and if there's a gap, and if you have a solution for that, you can go for it as well. And also for other people, in terms, the knowledge problem is such that it's not that you don't have knowledge, but there's too much knowledge. There's too much info, right? Especially in this era of internet. In the past, before internet becomes so big, so common, right? We have a problem of not enough information. But now we have too much information, confusing information, overwhelming information. And all, right, if you are someone who has the ability to condense things into like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and people can just get it just like that. Or maybe you're someone who can design infographics and you explain people in a pictorial form, right? Maybe you can go into a business that is providing a specialized services, something along that line, right? So these are just some example of the pain, and these are the four big categories. Now, if you want, if we can go into like give you a little bit more in depth of example, right? So we come with a term called technosaurus, technology and dinosaur, right? Some of us, right, new technology is so prevalent now. It's like everybody has to go technology one way or another, right? But some of us find it very hard with technology, and whether it's resistance or you find it just so difficult. And some of us are not machine tuned, we are people tuned, right? I am a self-proclaimed technosaurus, right? So it takes me a long time to learn something in terms of IT or technology, right? But if someone can make it easy for me, which someone has, and you know what? A lot of the software and all that, they have made things easier. That's how they make money, right? That's how they have a business. By solving a problem like me, like making things easier for us, right? So if these are a small group of people that you can go for, if you are someone who can make things easy for people, right? Some people have the problems of leads. They don't have enough leads, right? And if you have a way to help businesses to generate leads and in turn generate sales, then you also have an idea that you can start with. Another example would be support system. Now, support system is not just technological. It can be a soft skill kind of support, like post-sales system, right? Or post-sales customer service care, right? There is, very often we buy something and after that, the customer service is just rubbish, right? And we know we will never buy from them again. So if you find that that is another problem, that is a very huge problem and there's a huge opportunity there, and you have a solution, then you can go for it as well. And boredom, right? Okay, boredom is another very big example because nowadays things are moving so fast. People have more time in a way. They have more time, right? But people get bored easily, so they tend to look at to find things to fill in the time, to fill in the gap. That's why you get a lot of social media videos that are really funny. Recently I saw one posting, right? Apparently this guy stared into space for 2 hours and he get 2 million viewers, right? And it's like, what? Right. So so in summary, what problem are you solving? In the first category is that you should be solving a problem by getting rid of pain, some kind of pain for other people, right? Let's move on to the second category, which is to gain happiness. Now, either you help people to get rid of pain, or you help people to gain happiness. What do I mean? Right? It can be a happiness in terms of like you provide fun, excitement, and enjoyment for people. I mentioned, right, just now earlier, I mentioned that people are feeling bored these days. So they are looking for things that are fun and excitement and enjoyment. Maybe you have a business idea that is geared towards that. Maybe you're saying that, hey, no, I'm not helping people to get rid of any kind of pain. But my business idea is to bring fun to people, which a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs are doing that, and also it can be team bonding, that kind of thing, whereby people they bond with each other and while having fun as well, right? That could be one way of solving a problem. Right? And another way of gaining happiness is also like, maybe they don't have that pain, but there's no harm in helping people to increase sales. Some people, they have no pain, but they want to have more prestige and they want to have more status, right? These are all what I categorize as gaining happiness. Right. So in all, you need to see which your problem solving, right? You need to solve either a problem that is helping people to get rid of their pain or helping them to gain happiness, right? Okay. So that's number one. This is quite a big topic. So we will actually cover more details later on. Yeah. Okay. Number two, who are your customers? A lot of people. But they really feel at this question, right? They really don't know who are their customers. If you are selling to everybody, you will end up with nobody, right? So who are your customers? This is so important because everything else falls from there. You must know what are their likes, what are their dislikes, you must know their dreams and nightmares. Everybody is different, and from there you also know where they hang out, where to find them. If you are going to find someone who hang out on Facebook, is going to be someone different from someone who hang out in Instagram and LinkedIn as well, right? So let's just take a look on this question too. Who are your customers, right? So first up, it's very commonly, are you selling B2C means business to consumers? So meaning you sell directly to end users, right? B2B meaning that you are selling to other business owners or other businesses, which in turn sell to end users, right? So you need to be very clear which category are you in, because both categories are different. They are two different creatures, and they feed on different things. They use different marketing strategies. They use different likes and dislikes. They fight on. They have different kind of pains, different kind of happiness. So you cannot use one size fits all. Yes, generally there's some general principle that is across, that's common to both industry, but there is still some differences in it that you have to adapt and change, right? So you have to be very clear in terms of this. Next point, whether are you in a general or special niche, right? What do I mean? So there are two layers that we can talk about on this, right? So general, or let's talk about F&B, right? We use F&B, right? Most people, every time I ask people, have you a dream to start your own business? Most people will have a dream to do that, and especially to start a F&B cafe, dessert shop, or it's also one of my first dreams, right? But as I journey on, I realized no, F&B is too much hard work, right? If you are doing F&B, kudos to you. It's really not easy. A lot of satisfaction, but it's really not easy, right? Okay, so what do I mean by general or special niche, right? So in F&B, right? So you can go for general market, in the sense, general customers, in the sense that, so for example, in Singapore, we tend to have our daily meals in a hawker centers or food courts, or coffee shops, right? So they are general. So you are selling to the general market, right? And a special niche will be something special, and for example, like vegetarians. You sell to vegetarians only, and maybe you take the other side where you are marketing at carnivores. I know there's one eatery, right? They really call themselves the carnivores, right? And they just serve fantastic meat, and they are attracting all the meat lovers, right? So this is one area when I found one way of looking at general or special niche. Also, another way of looking at general or special niche is that the industry itself sometimes is more general, sometimes some industry is by the nature of it, right, is more special, right? So what do I mean? Well, for example, back to F&B, right? F&B is generally more general in the sense that, even you can explain easily to any layman, right? And most people, they will understand. So even like home, if you're selling home appliances, even if I don't understand, I'm not an expert, I can easily get hold of, learn what is it all about, right? But there are some industries that are more special. It's a very special niche, like construction, manufacturing, right? Or you are selling lab equipment. These are not generally most of the laymen like you and me will come across, right? I have one client who is actually dealing with construction. They're dealing with those construction cranes, right? And it's so special niche. The industry is so special that I can't help them with the marketing, right? Because I have no idea how to help them. They're selling to very niche markets. And they told me outright, right? You upfront and say that, I don't need you to help me with the marketing part. I need you to help me with the back-end part. They outsource their in-house methods to me, help them with the administrative part and the operations part. But in terms of their own business operations and marketing, right? Because it's so niche, they know who are they selling to, they know the customers very well. In fact, usually for this kind of special niche industry, there are so few players, like maybe no more than 10. 10 is considered a lot. Normally, there will be like no more than 5 players. So you can see if you need to really know what industry is it, a general industry or special niche industry. There are two different categories, two different kind of marketing, two different kind of problems and solutions required, right? So you need to take note of that. Next, we have mass market or art market, right? Again, right? This is another common mistake. So this is usually talk a little bit about the pricing already. Now, mass market usually is what we're talking about the normal entry or middle income market, right? Middle pricing. And art market, of course, we are talking about the really more expensive and people are paying a premium for something, right? If we use F&B to as an example again, I use F&B because it's easier to visualize and also it's easier to illustrate what is it. And so mass market, like earlier on we mentioned about a food court and hawker center and coffee shop. Usually these are about the mass market. And we have the art market whereby we have in our MBS, right? We have like, they serve one main course that is a few $100, maybe even, right? And we have a hotel selling like chicken rice. We have one hotel selling chicken rice at $35, $45, and we have chicken rice selling at hawker center that is at $2.50. So it's all very different, right? Different kind of marketing, different kind of strategy, different kinds of messaging, and you cannot mix the two together. Absolutely not, right? So you need to be very clear in your messaging. So you need to know who are your customers in order to craft your message to get to the right way to appeal to them, right? Okay. Another example, a very good example of mass market or art market is also supermarkets. If you look at supermarkets, right, they are generally they usually have two segments. One is the normal, the mass market, very affordable pricing, and they have another branding that is a little bit more upmarket, whereby the pricing, they sell the organic and they sell the natural and the wines and the more expensive stuff. So you need to take note, and from there, your branding, your setup, your everything is going to be very different. Yes, right. So how to identify your market? Right. This is a very big topic. So I'm just going to cover very quickly one very important point. Right. One very quick way that you can use is to use familiar circumstances. Right. And you notice I've said circumstances. Right. So what do I mean? So for example, these are the four easy to apply circumstances, right? So one very obvious way is that you can identify your market by age, right? So some people, there are certain, you like to it at certain age. Maybe you're in the 40s and you know what are the 40s, what problems the 40s are facing, right? And they are having midlife crisis, or they are starting to think about their retirement, they are starting to think about, hey, I need to make passive income, so certain age, right? If you might be more appeal, you might be drawn to such an age group and you want to solve their problems, that's fine, go ahead. And but it doesn't mean that you just target at your own age group, right? It's just that it's easier. It's something very easy for you to just quickly start. But if you are drawn to other age groups, for example, you are drawn to retirees, people who are in the 50s, 60s, right? They are retired and you just want to help them and they have a problem and you know their problem for some reasons, right? You can identify to them, they can relate to you, and go ahead, do that. And same thing, if you want to identify, you are 40, but you want to market at the younger group, go ahead and do that, right? Don't worry about people saying that you're too old for that market or you're too young for that market. You cannot please everybody. So just make sure that the criteria is really the overarching principle is always how well you know the market, right? And even if you don't know them well enough, and you need to have the passion and the patience to go and find out what do they really like and what puts them off, right? So one way is to go by age. Another way is actually go by life stage. Now, going by age, right, is one very easy, straightforward way. But I find that going for life stage is actually a more accurate way in that sense. So what do I mean? Right? For example, in the past, when you are before the age of 30, it's very common for people already married with two young kids before the age of 30, right? But these days people are marrying young later, and they are maybe having their first child when they are their 30s, or maybe even like myself in the 40s. We have many of my friends and myself are still single. So every life stage is different. So for example, I have some a few groups of very good friends, right? And amongst all of us, when we have gathering, I can tell you, same age, but at least one is single, one is married with no kids, one is married with kids, and one is divorced, right? And the fifth one is always one of the other four, right? So the thing is that we are all the same age, but we are at different life stage. So we will need different things, and we will want different things, and so if you find that the age is very difficult to market according to age, you can market according to life stage. So for example, if you want to target as a single, right, go ahead and target as a single regardless of age, because there can be people who are in the 20s and the 40s, they are singles, right? So so this is targeting at life stage. And if you're targeting at parents with young kids, for example, right, which is very common now. So for example, some couples, they are in their 30s and with young kids, but there are some people, they are still, they married young, and they have their 20s, they are already married. They already got married when in their 20s. So the child, right, their children are already in their teenage years. So for example, I have a friend who is the same age as me, in the 40s. She is already a mother of two teenagers, right? I have another friend who is the same age, right? But she is a child of a 6-year-old, right? So they will need, although the same age, but they will need different advice, and they will have different problems, and you will need to cater your solution differently. So this is what I mean by life stage, right? And third one is the problems, right? So what problems, and you can identify according in your daily life. There's so many problems in our life, right? Just look at what is irritating you, right? Is it like, there's a queue, and then, even something as simple as a queue system, right? So what happens is like in Singapore, we can, the queue, it's very irritating to take, to queue for hours, right, under the sun, and you can't get out of the queue, and you're wasting time and all that. So we have all this SMS system whereby you take a queue number, and then you can go off to do your things. And then, when your time, when the time is nearer to your queue number, and they will give you a SMS, and then you come back, right? That is identifying a problem, right? Which is actually, it's really good, because, I can go off to do my things. I won't waste 3 hours queuing for something that, within that 3 hours, I can't do anything. It's a waste of time. So look around. Start to look around, right? What is the problem that is recurring, that is common? You keep hearing people to keep telling you, and you think that you actually have a solution. That might be something that you can do a business with, right? Number 4 is the characteristics. Okay, what do I mean? We have to talk about this, right? It is the 21st century. We have to talk about this. Sometimes we go by characteristics, meaning, right? Nowadays there's a special term called YOLO. Okay, YOLO means you only live once, right? So especially with with the society more affluent, a lot of people are looking for more excitement, and they are doing things not just for money, and more for like passion, and they want to living as if your life has got no regrets, right? So living your dream, chasing that rainbow, right? So these are the things. So if you are catering for people, if you notice that there's a YOLO trend, you have something that you can cater to this group of people, right? You can actually think along that line and start to think how you can make it a business, right? And a very good example is actually Red Bull, right? Red Bull is really very good at this, right? I was doing some research on this, and Red Bull has this very fun thing, right? Red Bull is actually an energy drink. Honestly, it's actually just there's quite a few energy drinks in the market, right? What's so special besides their branding and their marketing, which are so successful? By the way, there's no endorsement, okay? I'm just using it as an example, right? Red Bull is actually well known in terms of extreme sports. Okay, they do very crazy stuff. If you go and Google and YouTube them, right, they're very crazy, but very fun, and you'll laugh your socks off kind of thing. So one thing that really caught my attention a few years ago, and I think they're still doing it, it's called flat park. So meaning that they build a kind of a temporary runway, right? And you are supposed to make like you do your own plane. You're supposed to run, and they build the temporary runway near some waterways, some lake or sea. So what you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to use whatever materials and create a kind of plane, right? A plane, and you're supposed to run, and then you jump off the platform, runway, and you see how far your plane will go. It's really really funny, and when people just do all sorts of things, and some of them look so good and so impressive, but the moment they fly off the platform, the runway, they just topple down. And I was just looking at one of them, right? And the longest record was 95 meters. It was so amazing. It's really funny how they go around doing the whole thing and all. It's just so enjoyable, right? So I think they really is the pioneer of YOLO in that sense, right? Another thing they really do very well is in terms of soapbox, SOAP, right? Again, something similar, but instead of jumping into the water, you create like vehicles, and they create all these paths, and your vehicle is supposed to finish the track until the finishing point, and you have all these sort of vehicles that use cardboard and all these different kind of materials, and you see, and the track is not really just one straight, it's like a bit winding, and you see how some of them couldn't stand the challenge and they topple and all that. It's actually quite funny, right? So maybe you are an event organizer. I know during this time, right, it's hard to do the events because we are restricted with the safe distancing and all. But you can think out of the box, and you can start thinking, what are the things that you can do in terms of all this, in terms of characteristics. Is there some characteristics that you can identify, and you can really market to this group of people who are looking for this kind of excitement? Okay, maybe they are looking for not excitement. There's another group that is looking for relaxation, right? And all the spa and the massage places, right? These are the people who are actually they cater for people who are looking. The characteristic is always something soothing and relaxing, right? So these are the characteristics that they are looking at, and they are catering to, and create a business out from it. So sometimes it's not about the business ideas, but it's also really what is the problem you're solving. Some of them are so stressful, right? Stress level has gone up, right? Mental health is another issue. So this is another big issue, and really a growing trend, that if you have a solution, then maybe you have a business, right? Right. We shall move on for now. There will be another video. We'll go for our another video. We'll talk a little bit. We really go in depth in terms of identify your market, because this is really the cornerstone, the fundamental step for you to start the whole thing rolling, right? So let's just move on to number 3. Right. Very important. How big is this customer base? Right? So now that you have identified the problem, now that you have identified the market, the question now is that, is this customer base big enough for you to be sustainable? Right? So what do I mean? Let me give you an example. Right? I divide these two characteristics into two groups. Now, let me explain by illustration. Right? It's easier to visualize what I'm talking about with examples. Right? Group A. Right? We talk about singles, right? In Singapore, we have 1 million singles, right? Okay, some of you, maybe a big shock. Are you shocked at the numbers, right? Okay, so is it a big market? Maybe. Is it a small market? Maybe. So it all depends on how you're looking at. And when we talk about singles, right, a lot of people look at it as like, the only business you can do it is like a matchmaking agency. Now, is it really that's the only business you can sell to singles? Not really, right? There's a travel trend, right, for solo travelers, right? So people just travel on their own. I love to travel on my own, because I don't have to, bother with people and all that. I can do everything on my own schedule. But of course, you know, traveling on my own has its own perks, but it has its own downside. So, for example, if I want to take pictures, right, and you know, I know we can do selfie, and we have a stand, that kind of thing. But sometimes it's never the same, you know, when somebody helps you to take pictures, right? So that is one problem that, you know, when I face if I travel on my own, right? Another thing is that, you want to go to washroom and you need to bring your luggage with you, and that's another thing as well, right? But you cannot deny, because with the growing number of singles, right, there are more and more people marrying later. So there are a growing trend of singles, and they are, people are more knowledgeable now. They are more affluent now. They tend to they don't mind traveling on their own now. So the travel industry before this whole year, right, there's a growing trend of catering to this group of people, the solo travelers, right? So this is how they identify as well. And you know, the good thing about if I sign up for a package that's meant for singles, I won't feel so awkward to ask them for help and all those things. I'm not relying on others to volunteer their help or initiate. Like, do you want me to take picture for you? That kind of stuff, right? Look after my things, that kind. Solo travelers, we take care of each other, right? Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. So if you are looking at the Singapore market, right, 1 million singles, is it big enough for you, right? You have to do the calculation in that sense. Maybe for some of you, it's actually more than enough, right? And sometimes for F&B, right? Let me give you another example in terms of F&B. Now, before this COVID, right, there are some restaurants already cater for people who are sole diners, right? So people who dine in on their own, so they have a teddy bear and then keep them company. Now, before this COVID, everyone's like, oh, it attracted different kind of responses. Some like, oh, that's a good idea. Some like, oh, that's so sad. If I want to eat on my own, I don't need a teddy bear to keep me company, right? But with this COVID, right, there are more and more restaurants because of the safe distancing. Sometimes we have to eat on our own and all. So what happens is that there are more restaurants doing that way, right? They put teddy bears, just to keep people company and all. And suddenly, right, it seems like it's such a nice gesture, right? So this is also another. There are some F&B that really they look at singles, how they can cater to them, and they come up with packaging and their portions for singles as well, because they see that it's a market that they want to target at, right? So this is group A, right? Let's compare with group B. Now, group B is okay. So I have a friend who is very good at customizing cards. All our birthdays, right? She always customize and handmade craft cards for us. And when we receive it, right? It's so heartwarming, and we will throw it away. Because it's so heartwarming to your heart, right? So and we were saying, oh, you should do the business, and we were saying this kind of customized cards is not going to come cheap, because she spent a lot of time and effort in doing this. And if she has to sell it, it's easily, right, sell at $20, for example. Now, how many of you pay for a $20 card, right? If you start me showing a sample of it. Now, to be honest, before that, I would not. But when I see her card, I would, right? But the thing is that how many people would then pay $20 for a customized card? And even then, right, even if I'm now willing to do so, how often would I ask her to do it for me, right? Maybe one whole year I will only ask her to do 5, right? So is that a good, sustainable business for her, right? So it's not just about customized cards. Anything, if you are thinking of doing customized solutions for people, right, do take note, because anything that's customized sometimes is very hard to scale. And every time you have to start afresh, start new, and you need to spend a lot of time and effort, right? So your price tend to go up, and so you need to see whether is the customer base big enough for you or not, right? Same thing for personal shopper. so not many people, personal shopper is a very value add service and all. They really help people to save time and the hassle and all. But how many of us will actually engage a personal shopper, right? So first and foremost, we find that we don't want to spend that money, right? That's for one. Secondly, you even for those who love shopping, they will not engage a personal shopper because what's the fun, right? They will enjoy the personal shopping. So there you go. Who are your customers? Maybe the top 10% who are willing to pay for that service, right? Who value the service and pay for that service. And again, is that customer base big enough, right? And finally, I want to talk about F&B again, right? I told you, right? F&B is very good case studies for businesses, right? So it appears, you notice it appears in both Group A and Group B. Now, F&B, right, if you notice by now, Group B, I'm talking about a little bit more customized and, upmarket, and sometimes it's a little bit smaller base, if you notice, right? So for F&B in this case, we're talking about a little bit more upmarket, right? So if you are thinking of selling to the starting an upmarket F&B, right, your pricing will tend to be at a premium, right? And usually you will be targeting at the top 10% of the population. Now in Singapore, we only have about 5.6 million, right, including babies, right? So if you're talking about 10% of the population, that's 500,000. And out of that 500,000, maybe only 10% are willing to pay for that premium food, right? So that's 50,000, right? 50,000 potential customers. Remember, customers are people who are willing and able to pay, right? So 50,000, not forgetting if you have, they're not all going to buy from you, right? You also have other competitors, other service providers who are providing the same service. So if there are 1,000 competitors, right? 50,000 divided by 1,000, you only have 50 people, and how often are they going to buy from you? So this is what I mean by how big is your customer base. So if you look at Group A, you tend to be able to be a wider range, right? And so your pricing can be, it's okay to be it's more likely to be mass market and general. Remember just now, question 2, we talk about what kind of market are you talking about, right? So it tends to be mass market and it tends to be general because you have a big customer base, right? And for Group B kind of business, right, these three are all just examples. Yeah, there's a different kind of businesses that fall under whether it's Group A or Group B. Now for Group B, you tend to spend a lot of time and effort, and with that, right, you need to really price it at a higher price. Otherwise, it doesn't justify your work, right? And with that, there will be lesser people who are willing to buy from you. Now, is that sustainable for you? Right? In business, when it comes to the monetizing part, it's very simple. It's number of customers and how much are they paying per customer per head, for example, right? So how big is this customer base? Is it going to be sustainable for you? That is one of the very big mistakes a lot of people make, right? They do customize solutions, but they are charging at mass market pricing, which is not sustainable, and you're going to feel burnt out very soon. Right? It won't take you long before you just gave up. And you don't have to be so. There's a way to do that, right? Right. So there you go, right? Customer equals to willingness and ability to pay, right? And okay, let me just hold that slide for a while. Now, so that's the 3 questions that you have to look at, which is the first one, what problems are you solving? Right? And second, who are your customers? Remember, the mass market or the up market, you have to be very clear, B2C or B2B. You must establish that first. And number 3 is how big is this customer base, right? Obviously, in business, there are more than these 3 questions. And we'll do more videos to share with you how to really go into having your business and all that. If you're expecting a normal business plan kind of academic kind, right? Okay, this is not the videos, right? JPS consultancy, which is JPS actually stands for Just Practical Solutions, right? We share with you the practical aspect of business solutions, business strategy, business marketing, and strategy as well. So we want to share with you the practical part of it. So in business, there are many, many things that we need to look at, but you have to start somewhere. And to start somewhere, you must be able to answer these three questions first. And even if you have already started your business, sometimes you may want to review and see whether you still want to stick with this. It's always good to go back to the fundamentals, the foundation of things, and make sure you have the foundation right. This is why buildings take a long time when it's at the foundation stage, because they need to be very solid so that the building will not collapse. Same thing for business. If you get your foundation right, the rest of it, right, it's just a matter of adjusting to what's going on in the current state. That's all. Right? So I hope you learned something from here. And if you learn something, like and share, you connect with us, like and share and subscribe to this. If you have a question in terms of business, right, type in the chat box, and then we will answer as many questions as possible. If you are shy about it, right, you might be thinking, oh, my question, what will people think about it? I know, okay, I used to be one of them, right? You can email to us at this email address, and we might be able to connect through email, phone call, or Zoom call, Zoom meeting, and we see how we can help you. Seriously, I mean, at the point of time whereby I really want to help as many people as possible, because I think businesses are really the way to eradicate a lot of problems in this world, including poverty, right? So I'm a firm believer of that, and I think businesses can do a lot of wonders in people's lives as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video sharing, and I'll see you soon in our next video. Bye.